Good morning everybody. Dylan K. Johnson here. Welcome back to a new video. Today we're going to be doing a quick kind of initial impressions and review of this bar that I have here in front of me. As you can see, it is from Elitefts. This is their American Camber bar. Specifically, it is the angled grip version, as you can see. They do have on their website a neutral grip version, but in my experience throughout the years of using different types of specialty bars like this, multi-grip bars, whatever you want to call them, I personally find that the angled grips are just a lot more natural and comfortable to use as opposed to neutral grips. They just feel better for any type of pressing, pulling, rowing movements, whatever you may do with the bar. And it just feels a lot better with the angled grip as opposed to a neutral grip for me. So that's kind of why I would say that most people are going to go for this version over the neutral grip. But getting into some of the more specifics of this bar, let's start things off with the price. Regularly, this bar comes in at about $310, not including tax and shipping. However, personally, I picked this up for 25% off with free shipping. So that came in at about $236 before tax, which is a screaming deal for this bar. Getting into some of the more detailed specs of the bar, this comes in at 38 pounds, which is a little bit lighter than say your traditional barbell. Say like take my Kabuki Cadillac bar that I have, comes in at 45, so it's a little bit lighter than that, which that's kind of one of those bars that a lot of people tend to kind of go back and forth between which one do they want, this one, that one, what are the different specs to it. I'll do a whole different video kind of going into detail comparing the two in the future, but for right now we're just going to be talking about this bar. Moving on from the weight, let's talk a little bit about the camber of this bar. So this bar specifically has a 2-inch drop or a 2-inch camber, meaning that if I'm using either of the outermost handles for any type of pressing, rowing movement, whatever it may be, and I bring the bar all the way to my chest, to my torso, I'm gonna get an extra 2 inches of range of motion because of that camber. And then on the flip side, quite literally, flip it around, you can use it for limiting your range of motion. Basically, you take it and it acts like a 1.5 board press. So if you guys are familiar with board presses, you know that you either have to like MacGyver a way to attach the board to your bar, to your chest, whatever it may be, or you need an assistant, somebody else there to hold the boards for you. A nice feature of this bar is because the camber is reversible, you can take it and use it as a built-in 1.5 board press. So that's a great feature to have if you like to incorporate that style of training into your workouts. And it's just something that's really nice, a kind of little bonus feature of this bar itself. Moving on from the camber, let's take a look at the different handle positions. So this bar has one of the most handle positions of any bar currently on the market. The only thing I think that surpasses it potentially is the new Rogue MG whatever bars, their new kind of do-it-yourself multi-grip bar. But for this specific bar, you have 4 different handle positions, which is really nice, especially when I compare it to something like my Kabuki Cadillac bar, which only has 3. You have the added addition of this super narrow grip in the center, which is really nice. I really like that for hitting the triceps. I played around with that grip a little bit earlier this week, and I really like the way that it felt. But again, talking about the angle of these grips, they feel really nice, they feel really natural, and something that's actually really interesting with the handle positions or the handle angles that I hadn't noticed on the website is the angle of this handle that's right at kind of the start of the camber. It's kind of hard to see here, but I'll throw some video up on screen now. It's not just angled out, but it's also angled up or down, however you look at it. It's angled in 2 different directions, which as I was playing around with that, feels incredible. It feels so much better than something like my Kabuki Cadillac bar. And I was actually extremely surprised at how much better just this additional added angle of this specific grip felt. It feels so much more natural. The biggest difference when using it was that regularly when I'm pressing with the bar, it feels almost like I start to hit the bottom side of the bar to my chest first. I can't bring it flat to my chest without kind of twisting my wrists into kind of an unnatural position where I'm putting them at a little bit of a risk. But with that additional kind of added angle, I'm able to keep them in a very neutral, natural position, go through a full range of motion with the bar, and it just feels, it's hard to explain, but it just feels so nice. It feels so much better than anything else I've used, and it's just, I can't say enough great things about that little small feature. It's something that I didn't even notice on the website. I don't know that I've seen a lot of people talk about it. It's something that's definitely, like I said, not on my Kabuki Cadillac bar, and I really like that feature. For that feature alone, personally, I think that this bar is probably going to get more use than my Cadillac bar, and we'll have to see in the future, but I might end up keeping this bar over the Cadillac. But that's, again, neither here nor there. It's just a great feature of this specific bar. Anyway, moving on from that, let's talk a little bit about kind of the build quality, some of the aspects of that. First and foremost, you may have been able to hear it in the audio as I've been twisting this bar here and there. There are some metal shavings inside the bar. Hopefully you can hear that. Basically, from whatever they were doing with the welding, some stuff got left inside the bar. I haven't tried popping off the end caps, but I'm guessing that I'm not gonna be able to try and like drain it through the sleeves of the bar. It's probably sealed here. It's not a huge deal. Some people might find it annoying. It's one of those things that it's like, it kind of sucks, but after a while, you're just not gonna notice it. But moving on from there, the only other thing really that kind of stands out to me is that there's a little bit of weld splatter, which again, not a huge issue. I don't care, it doesn't make a big difference. The only thing that it does that I did have happen with that is there was one spot that was actually sharp enough to cut my finger while I was moving the bar around. So that was real quick to just kind of pick away, and took a file to it and just chipped that small spot off. But it's something to keep in mind with and be careful of if you get this bar, is just to kind of look around for it, see if you have any of those kind of sharp weld splatter burrs, I don't know what else you would call them, and they're really easy just to kind of pick off or anything like that. Now moving on to what is possibly the only real negative to this bar, and that's gonna be the coating. So the entire bar is coated in basically a black powder coat, and that includes both the handles and the sleeves, which is not necessarily a huge deal, but what it means is that the handles themselves are actually a little bit slick. There's no texture to them. I believe Dave Tate said that that was intentional so that you can use it with chalk for pressing, pulling movements, whatever it may be. But in my opinion, it's one thing that's kind of a major downside to this bar, is there's no texture at all on the handles because of that powder coating. That's not knurled, nothing, there's nothing there. So what I'm probably gonna end up doing is taking like a grip tape or a hockey tape and wrapping each of the handles, just because I personally like to have that little bit of extra texture. I like that, especially if I'm gonna be doing any type of pulling or rowing movements with this bar. I like to have that little bit of extra grip there because for the most part, I don't like to use, say, wrist wraps or safety straps, anything like that, if I'm gonna be using this style of bar. So, again, the other place that this is a big negative is with the sleeves. And the only reason I say that is because they're going to show wear very quickly, and it's going to wear down very quickly. I've only used this bar maybe 3 or 4 times in the week or so that I've had it, and I'm already starting to see marks on the sleeves. Not a huge deal for me personally. I don't care if the sleeves get marked up, but if you're one of those people that like to keep things as pristine as possible, that's something to keep in mind, is that these sleeves are going to show wear. Whether or not they chip, I don't know. Like I said, I've only had this bar a week, so I'll do that. I'll kind of maybe take a look at it in a couple months after having used it, see if the paint chips a little bit on the sleeves. But either way, it's something to just kind of keep in mind, as it is kind of one of those downsides. Now, one other thing to mention is that they state on the website that the sleeves are not compatible with, say, your standard spring lock collars, your standard spring collars like the squeezy ones. I do have a set of mine. I think I got them with some random thing I got off Facebook, and that is right. They don't fit on this bar. However, something like my Rogue Oso collars, you might be able to see them in the background, or my Rogue HG collars, they fit just fine, no issues with that. But like spring collars, the regular spring collars, they're probably not gonna work with this bar. Another kind of small detail, this guy right here, it's just a sticker. Looks a little cheap, feels cheap. It's not a huge deal. Again, it has zero impact on the physical use of the bar, just on the looks. It kind of sucks. I don't like stickers, especially on my gear, my equipment. It just makes things look cheaper than they actually are in terms of like the visual appeal. So yeah, that's kind of the only other thing that I have to complain about there. So moving on from the specs, let's talk about kind of my experience using it. Again, I've only used it a handful of times, so this is just like an initial impressions of the bar and kind of a review of the specs and things. But overall, I love it. This bar is amazing, especially when you look at the price coming in at just about $240 with it on sale, free shipping. This bar is incredible. So I guess some of the things that really stand out, like I was saying, is this kind of middle grip, this neutral grip here with the additional angle to it. It feels so much better than something like my Kabuki Cadillac bar. And just in general, the whole bar feels really solid. I like the angles. The angles of the handles also are actually, like these outer two angles, are a little bit greater than the angles of my Kabuki Cadillac bar, which for me, I like the way they feel. It just kind of puts it a little bit more into a natural position for my wrists, for my elbows, the way everything stacks up. And in general, it's a little early to say, but I kind of feel like this bar might replace my Kabuki Cadillac bar. Again, I've only used it a handful of times, so it's a little early to really say that, but for the most part, I can already tell that this bar is going to be incorporated into my regular rotation for any type of pressing, pulling, rowing movements, whatever it may be. But anyway, that is gonna be it for me today. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. If there's anything you wanna know about this bar specifically, or anything you want to know about this bar, say compared to my Kabuki Cadillac bar, let me know down below in the comments, because I will be doing a kind of detailed comparison video in the future between the two of them. Once I use this bar a little bit more, get some more time under it, then I'll kind of be doing a comparison between the two. So yeah, that's gonna be it for me today. Again, hopefully you enjoyed it. If you wanna check this bar out, I will have it linked down below in the description. Not an affiliate link, not affiliated with Elite FTS, so no pressure to go check it out, but it's there if you guys are interested. So thank you guys for watching, and as always, I will see you all in the next one. Bye.